Hi, it's Elaine with MCPS Technology. I'd like to take you on a tour of an incredible resource for educators. It's called Google Arts and Culture. Here, you and your students can explore art, historical events and figures, and make collections of artifacts to share. You can get to Google Arts and Culture by simply typing it into the Omnibox and then clicking on it. The site will come right up. And as soon as you see this colorful homepage, you're going to realize that there's so much more here than we're going to cover in this tour video. So I hope you'll spend some major time here just digging into these resources because it's so worth it. As you scroll down the page, you'll see first the Daily Digest, and this changes every day, where certain cultural events and things are featured. And if you click on them, you can explore them more deeply. Below that, you'll find featured themes, and these are, of course, curated by Google, and they change from time to time. Right now, several themes are being featured, including women and culture. Let's just click on that really briefly. Inside that tour, you can find that women and culture are approached from different perspectives. For example, here's a feature, 11 Women Who Changed the World, followed by 10 self-portraits made by women. And if you just go on, you can really dig into that. If you scroll on down, you'll see that there are several featured stories as well. And these also are collections of artifacts. And they range very widely. You can see that you have the counterculture of San Francisco, and you have women and the fight for civil rights. If we click on that briefly, you'll see that you can enter the story by clicking this arrow here. It tells facts about the civil rights movement. It shows important photographs, and then it continues to give you historical information. Coming back to the homepage, there are more featured stories, and again, those range widely. Down here, you see something about preserving social media and even the history of the hoodie. So there's lots to work with here, no matter what your subject matter. Another featured theme, We Wear Culture, is about fashion. And one of my favorite features is exploring with Street View. So throughout this site, you will see this little yellow man. And if you're familiar with Street View, you know that means there's like a virtual tour. So if you click on any of these, for example, the Musée d'Orsay in Paris, France, it will actually take you to that location, and you'll be inside the actual museum, and you can move around the same as you do in Google Street View. If I want to see which parts of the museum are available for the tour, those would be the dark gray parts. And if I click on a part and then click back on this tiny picture, it will take me to that area of the museum. Amazing stuff. Like places I'll never go probably in person, I can still see them through virtual tour, and so can our students. I love this zoom in feature as well because Google has used some crazy high definition photography to really help us zoom in on famous works of art. For example, this is The Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. And look at this. Look how far I can zoom in with this little icon here. I can see that picture really, really closely, even the brush marks and deep into the canvas. Also notice below the picture I get information about it, when it was made, and things about the artist. And this little man here tells me also that if I want to, I can click here and go to the actual museum where this piece of art is housed. So I can see the Starry Night hanging in the museum. I can zoom in on it. I can look at other art in this museum with the 360 view. This just blows my mind. I had no idea until recently that this was here. So it's just incredible to me what Google has done. Going back to the site, we could keep scrolling down the site because there's lots on the homepage, but my advice to you, oh, and before I forget, let me explain to you too that anytime you click on an artifact, you can save that by saving it to your favorites. You can click on this little heart and it will save it to your favorites. That's going to be important later when we go to make a collection. But what I was about to say is this. The homepage is great. It's beautifully appealing visually, but the best way to explore this site is through the main menu, which is in the upper left. 3 lines or 3 dots in Google always means more. So if you click the main menu, you'll see many of the areas we've already talked about, but there's so much here that I tend to like to come back to the main menu. For example, you can see that we have collections. That means different museums, and we have themes, and we have experiments, and we have artists, which is one of my favorites. So if I click on the artists, notice that I can look at them over time, or I can look at them alphabetized from A to Z. Here's Claude Monet. He's one of my favorites, so I'm just going to click on him. And notice there are 181 items here. So I can look at them in several ways. I can organize them by popularity or over time, and it will put them in order. That's really cool. I can even look at them by color, which is really fascinating to me. So with almost all the artifacts on this site, there are several perspectives and different ways that you can look at them. Now, some of my favorite Monets are here, and I'm just going to randomly choose one because, well, pretty much every Monet is amazing. And I'm going to save this one again, The Shadows of the Sea, Shadows on the Sea, excuse me. I'm going to save that to my favorites. See how easy that was? Going back to the main menu, here are some of the features that I think are most important for teachers. Historical events. If I click there, notice what's available to me. Look at this. I could click on, for example, the Holocaust. And if I were teaching a unit that involved this, there are so many artifacts here. There are 15,452 items that I could, and many of these are recordings, very powerful stuff. So if I click on one of these, again, I can favorite it. So I, the teacher, could make a collection of items that I wanted. Oh dear, let me stop that. I could make a collection of items that I wanted to share as I'm teaching a lesson. And I can also ask students to make collections as they explore the site, and they can share those collections with me. I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. But going back to the main menu, notice we can also explore historical figures. And I can search this site at any time. Keep that in mind. So if I don't see the historical figure I'm looking for here, I can actually go up to the search bar and look for it. So here we have everything from Hillary Clinton to Donald Trump to Abraham Lincoln and just pretty much everything in between. So again, incredible stuff. I don't even know what to say. It just blows my mind. Sorry. Oh, I did it again. Okay, so scrolling down again, one of my favorites before I show you how to make a collection is places. And there are tons of these that you can explore. So I can look at them. I mean, think about this, the potential for our students to go places that they may never go in their lifetime, but they can still see what those places are like. And again, we can include these things in our lessons. So to make a collection, I did it again. Wow. To make a collection, after I've saved things in my favorites, I can go here to my favorites. And here's the process of making a collection. I click on Create a New Collection, and then I select the items I want in my collection. So if I were making a collection, let's say, of my favorite art, I would just check a few pieces of my favorite art, and then I would click Continue. So I would give that a title, My Favorites. And then I would put in a description. I would write something longer, but since I'm making a video, it's going to be really short. And then here, and this is really important, I would click here to make my collection public. This means I can share it with other people. Then I would click Done. And notice it gives me a collection called My Favorites. And so what I could do is copy the URL using Control C, and then I could share that with my teacher. I could upload it to Google Classroom as an assignment. There's all sorts of things I can do with it. So that's making a collection. As you can see, this site is incredible. So I really do hope that you will spend some time here because there is so much to explore. And I know you're going to love using this in your classroom.